You have been in class long enough to hear this and to act on it. Those of you who still have a body to be healed, a supply to be revealed, a relationship to be made whole, a fear that gnaws in the night. This hour is your hour. Listen carefully. First, I will tell you something that you must remember. When you sit down, you cannot get God to do your will. There is nothing that you can do that will sway God or move God out of its orbit. God is already being God. If you are still straining, if you are still working at it, that strain is not proof of a hard problem. It is proof that you are still taking a false position, trying to use God against something you believe has power. Search yourself. Have you been piling up affirmations like sandbags against a flood? Have you been treating and treating and treating the same picture? Are you counting the hours of prayer as if more effort would finally break a ceiling? Stop it. That is the treadmill of two powers. Every repeat battle with a condition confesses that the condition stands there with a sword, and that you must bring a larger sword named God to defeat it. You cannot bring God to you, but you can bring yourself to God. The binding is in your mind, not in God. Be still and know that God is God. You say, "But I am tired." I know you are tired. You are tired because you have been chasing God. Stop chasing God. Let God catch up to you. Relax. Relax. God will not change its ways for you. You must change your ways to receive God's grace. And what is that change? It is the end of using God as a remedy for appearances. It is the end of finitizing God into a tool for personal safety, personal supply, personal vindication. It is the end of I, me, and mine as the center of your prayer. Now hear me. The method that wears you out must be ended, not perfected. Your endless battle is not spiritual life. It is superstition dressed in spiritual language. You have taken the shadow on the wall and called it a second power, and then begged the sun to fight the shadow. The sun does not fight. It shines. God does not contend. God is. My peace give I unto you. It is a gift, not a wage for effort. So this is the promise before us. There is a single realization that ends the need for all the rest. Not another technique, not harder work. A surrender of a false belief. Right here, in this instant, release your contest with the picture. Say within yourself, "Father, I see what I have been doing, trying to use you. Nevermore, I yield. Thy will be done in me." And then, be quiet. Let the shoulders drop. Let the breath ease. Be still. The very lessening of strain is the first sign that you are moving out of the way, and that grace, already present, can be felt as peace. Now we must name the adversary, so that you stop fighting shadows. It is not a person, not a condition, not a season of the year or a line on a report. The adversary is a belief, the belief that there are two powers, God and something else. Every fear is a confession of two powers. Remember that. Every fear says, there is God, and there is also disease. There is God, and there is also lack. There is God, and there is also hatred. The very moment you tremble, you have set up an altar in your heart to a second God. You have bowed to an idol fashioned out of appearances. And this two-power idol wears religious clothing. It comes disguised as prayer. It whispers, beg harder, bargain better. Push the darkness back with your mind. Wrestle the error until it yields. That is not prayer. That is anxiety with its eyes closed. That is not communion. That is bargaining with a phantom. When you sit down to plead with God to defeat a condition, you have already granted the condition a scepter. You have said, "Thou also art mighty." Stop it. Put up thy sword. Not by might, not by human power, but by spirit are you freed. You cannot bring God into your situation as a combatant, but you can stop giving your situation a throne and calling it power. Search yourself honestly now. What am I afraid of? Say it plainly. What do I secretly believe can hurt me? Is it a diagnosis? Is it the economy? Is it a person's opinion? Is it time running out, age creeping, deadlines closing? Is it chance, accident, fate, the roll of a cosmic dice? What am I treating as power? Ask until it stings a little. Ask until you feel the hidden altar trembling. Because the root of the struggle is never the picture. It is the worship of the picture as if it had will, law, and substance. The command from the beginning stands. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Do not finitize God into a firefighter arriving late to a blaze that some rival power set. God is not a latecomer. God is presence. God is law. God is the light, and the light does not fight darkness. The light reveals that darkness never possessed substance. When you plead against evil, you give it a body. When you recognize it as non-power, you have already withdrawn the only breath it ever seemed to breathe, your belief. And so the pivot is always the same. You cannot bring God to your fear, but you can bring your fear to God. And there, in the presence, see it as nothing. You cannot move God, but you can move out of the way of your idol-making. Relax. Relax. Be still and know. Let the shoulders drop as you say within, there are not two powers. Feel how the atmosphere changes the instant you refuse to enthrone the appearance. My peace give I unto you. Receive it by ending the worship of fear. Now let us lay down the law so plainly that you can never again pretend confusion. There is nothing that you can do that will sway God, persuade God, or move God out of its orbit. God is already being God. God is presence. God is law. God is life eternal. Be still and know that I am God. Did not invite you to coax God. It commanded you to stop moving in the mind that imagines it can. You cannot bring God to your side. You cannot bend the infinite to a finite plan. You cannot recruit omnipotence for a private battle. You can only move out of the way. All spiritual demonstration is this: a change of consciousness within you. Not a change in God, not a new mood in deity, not a special dispensation because you found a better wording. God is no respecter of persons, no favorites, no punishments, no rewards for strain. The sun does not shine harder for the pleading man and less for the quiet man. It shines. If one stands in shadow, the sun is not withholding. He has placed himself outside. Bring yourself into attunement, at one-ment, alignment with what is already so. Search yourself. Have you been calculating hours of prayer as if God pays by the minute? Have you imagined that a certain number of affirmations would soften the heart of the Absolute? Have you been timing God, bargaining with God, proposing a schedule and a method? Are you still begging, still arguing, still demanding results? Stop it. That is the old mind trying to manipulate omnipotence. That is finitizing God, reducing infinity to a tool for I, me, mine. You cannot move God, but you can cease resisting God's isness. How do you resist? By fear, by will, by mental outlining, dictating outcomes, insisting on forms, defending your plan as if it were law. Not by might, nor by power, but by spirit, says the word. Put up thy sword. Loosen the clenched demand. Let go of the picture you have enthroned and the calendar you have canonized. Relax. Relax. We reach God's presence by relaxing, not by tightening. Do not say, "If I pray harder, God will come." Say, "Father, I release my claim to direct thee. I relinquish the arm of flesh, its pushing, its pleading, its planning. Thy will be done in me. Use me. Reveal thyself as what is already true." Then be quiet. Be still. Let the shoulders drop. The first evidence that you are moving out of the way will be the ebbing of strain from your body and your mind. My peace give I unto you. Feel it, not earned, but given. And understand this impersonal law. Because God is unchangeable, the only possible change is in the consciousness that believes it must fight. When that belief yields, the battlefield evaporates. When that belief falls, say it again until the mind stops arguing. There are not two powers. God is power. Nothing else is. Not a little more power than evil. Not a superior combatant. God is power, and beside God there is none else. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Be still and know that this is not poetry. It is law. This is why treatments end. If there are not two powers, you do not need to escalate your prayer to overcome an opponent. You do not need a stronger thought, a louder affirmation, or a longer vigil. You need light. You need recognition. The minute you stop calling the appearance power, the contest dissolves, the battlefield disappears, and there is no longer a place for your fear to stand. Not by might, nor by human power, but by spirit. That means by the seeing of what is. Make a clear distinction in yourself now. Appearances are not power. They may shout. They may parade across the screen of sense with statistics, with symptoms, with dates and threats. But they do not possess authority, law, intelligence, or creative capacity. They are the arm of flesh, and the arm of flesh is not might. They have no law to sustain them, no mind to project them, except the mind that entertains and fears them. Withdraw belief, and you withdraw the only life they ever seemed to have. Bring it down to your day. Disease is not power. Health is not a reward for combat. Health is the natural evidence of one life. The economy is not power. Your employment, your retirement account, the news cycle, none of these sit on a throne. Other people's minds are not power, neither to curse nor to bless you. The past is not power. It cannot reach from yesterday to chain the living God. The future is not power. It cannot stand over you with a whip. Chance is not power. Fate is not power. Heredity is not power. God is power. Nothing else is. Keep the sentence simple, or you will lose it. Test it now, not later, now. Take the very thing that has been frightening you. Name it inwardly. Then say within, "You are not power." Do not argue. Do not wrestle. Just withdraw the crown. You are not law. You are not cause. You are not intelligence. God alone is power here. Now be quiet. Be very still. When you stop calling this thing power, do you feel the body loosen? Do you feel the mind unclench? Do you sense space opening as if air has entered a tight room? That spaciousness is your sign. My peace give I unto you. It is the evidence that you have stepped out of battle into presence. Hold to this one pivot through the day. Each time a picture approaches, do not meet it with swords. Put up thy sword. Refuse two powers. Stand in one. Relax. Relax. Let the shoulders drop. God is already being God, and where God is realized as the only power, what can rise against you? Nothing. Be at peace. Now let us take this one step further and end a habit that has chained you to the treadmill. Stop treating error as an entity. The moment you set yourself to wrestle with a symptom, you authenticate it. You give it a name, a place, a law, and then you anoint it with your attention. You say, I must work on this. I must treat this. And in that very breath, you have made it something. When you battle error, you enthrone it. When you recognize it as non-power, you withdraw the only support it ever had, your belief. Remember the old phrase, the arm of flesh is not might. What is the arm of flesh? It is what can be measured, counted, graphed, forecasted, and feared. It is the number on a report, the image on a screen, the sound of a rumor, the trend in a market, the calendar's date. It is the sensation in the body that claims a throne, the memory that shouts a verdict, the future that threatens a sentence. All of that is the arm of flesh, and the arm of flesh is not might. It shouts, but it has no law behind it. It parades, but it has no life of its own. It borrows its seeming vitality from the mind that bows to it. And see how subtle the bondage becomes. You sit down to deny and to argue, and your mind tightens. You multiply words and the picture swells. You rehearse facts and you weave a net around yourself. The more you mentally push, the more real the problem feels. The very heat of your debate is incense on the altar of a second power. The moment you feel yourself tightening, stop your meditation. You are making it a mental thing. Relax. Release the argument. You cannot finitize God into a counter-thought to battle a thought. Put up thy sword. What then replaces the wrestling? Recognition. Quiet, impersonal recognition. This has no power, no law, no life, no cause, no substance of its own. Say it softly within, not as combat, but as light. This is the arm of flesh, and the arm of flesh is not might. God alone is power here. Then be still. Let the shoulders drop. Let the breath be easy. Not by might, nor by human power, but by spirit. By seeing what is, do you come free. My peace give I unto you. Receive it, and let that peace be the evidence that you have withdrawn your belief. Search yourself. Are you still telling the story of the symptom to yourself and to others? Are you checking it, measuring it, timing it, forecasting its arc? Each rehearsal feeds it. Stop. Release. Let go. Do not finitize God by imagining a rival standing across the field. There is no rival. There is one. Be still and know that I am God. And as you practice this, the picture may continue to dance on the screen of sense for a season, but it will be a shadow without a fire. Its sting will be gone because you have taken back the only crown it wore, your consent. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Feel that liberty now as spaciousness, as quiet, as a softening in the body and the mind. That is grace registering. That is presence recognized. Be at peace. Now we come to the mechanism of grace. Not an engine you crank, but what becomes evident the moment you stop trying to drive the infinite. Grace registers where effort ceases. It is not earned, it is received. The instant you know, not say, not hope, but know, that there is only one power, something happens without your help. The strain begins to run out of the body. The mind eases from its clutch. The breath finds itself. Every sense of tightness belonged to the belief in two powers. When that belief yields, the body bears witness. Relax. Relax. Be still and know that I am God is not a technique. It is the announcement that stillness is the place where knowing occurs. Take this as operational law. The moment you feel yourself tightening, jaw set, shoulders riding up, breath in the chest, stop your treatment. Stop it that instant. You are making it a mental thing again. Put up thy sword. Do not add another word. Let the hands open. Let the belly soften. Let the shoulders drop. Then say within, with no push and no argument, God is. God is power. Nothing else is. Say it as recognition, not as combat, and then be quiet. Wait without stopwatch or goal. My peace give I unto you. Let it come of itself. Understand, this is not passivity. This is the highest activity available to a human being. Obedience to spiritual law. It is the surrender of false control, the yielding of the arm of flesh, so that omnipotence can be felt as presence, not imagined as a tool. Not by might nor by power, but by spirit. When you relax in this way, you are not quitting, you are aligning. The first fruit of alignment is peace. Peace is not a mood you create by breathing. It is a sign that resistance is gone and that one power is acknowledged where you stand. Do not expect the screen of sense to stop moving at once. Shadows may still flicker. Words may still arrive in the mail. Numbers may still visit a report. But you will know the difference because the sting, the panic, the personal stake have leaked away. Each time the picture knocks, do the same holy thing. Stop the tightening. Refuse two powers. Rest in the refrain, God is. God is power. Nothing else is. Do not time it. Do not measure results. The minute you begin to monitor, you slip back into mind. Take no thought for your life. Let presence announce itself by its own light. Search yourself in the moment. Am I pressing for an outcome? Am I decorating my fear with religious language? Am I quoting in order to force a feeling? If so, stop. Be simple. Father, thy will be done in me. Use me. That is all. The less you do, the more God is revealed as doing, because there is no rival to oppose. Notice how the room of your being grows spacious as you release I, me, and mine. That spaciousness is grace in motion. So this is your practice. When tightening appears, it is your bell. Do not improve your argument. End it. Return to the one recognition. God is. God is power. Nothing else is. And let the body bear witness by unclenching. Let the mind bear witness by quieting. Let peace be your evidence that you have stepped back into one power. Relax. Relax. Be still and know. Be at peace. Now, if the peace has not yet flowered, do not pretend confusion. There is a moral demand upon you. When realization seems stalled, do not push harder with thoughts. Search for where consciousness is out of attunement. Ask yourself plainly, without drama and without defense. Where am I still dividing? Where am I still granting a second power the right to sit on a throne in my heart? Search yourself. Am I cherishing resentment? Am I condemning? Am I keeping a private ledger of wrongs? Am I afraid? Am I making another person a power over me, his approval a power, her rejection a power, their decision a power? Am I bowing to reputation as power, to praise as power, to blame as power? Am I clutching guilt and calling it law? Are there faces that, when they pass through my mind, tighten my chest? Are there names that, when spoken, steal my peace? Be honest. This is not to shame you, it is to free you. You cannot live in one power while secretly assigning power to hatred, judgment, or resentment. Here again the impersonal law that governs this path. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Are we doing that? Not reciting it, doing it. Or are we withholding the release and then wondering why grace feels remote? Judge not, that ye be not judged. Are we doing that? Love your enemies, bless them that curse you, pray for them which despitefully use you. Are we doing that? This is not moral decoration, this is alignment. The moment you make an enemy a power, you have confessed two powers. The moment you make approval a power, you have confessed two powers. The moment you make rejection a power, or guilt a power, you have set up an idol and kneeled. Correct it now, without self-condemnation. If you find the split, do not despair. Correct yourself and return to the one. Say within, Father, I release this debt. I release this person from my judgment. I release myself from my judgment. I withdraw the crown I have placed on their head and on my guilt. There is not a second power in them or in me. God alone is power here. Then be still. Let the shoulders drop. Feel the atmosphere ease. Not by might, nor by human power, but by spirit. Bring this down to practice. If a supervisor's frown tightens you, you have made approval a power. Stop. Refuse two powers. No human face withholds my good. God is source, not man. If a memory of betrayal stings, you have made yesterday a power. Stop. Refuse two powers. The past is not power. God alone is present law. If your own mistakes accuse you, you have made guilt a power. Stop. Refuse two powers. Neither do I condemn thee. Old things are passed away. Relax. Relax. Put up thy sword. And now bless. Bless the one you resented. Bless the one you feared. Bless the one you sought to manipulate by pleasing or punishing. Not with sentimental phrases, but with impersonal recognition. God is your life. God is your law. God is my life. God is my law. There is one. Feel how the room of your being grows spacious when the ledger is burned. That spaciousness is grace returning to its natural circulation. Do not make a project of this. Make it obedience. Each time a face rises and the body tightens, that is your bell. Refuse two powers. Forgive. Release. Align. My peace give I unto you. Receive it by ending the secret division. Be still and know that God is God. Be at peace. Now we must take the last plank from under fear. The possessive self. You have been guarding a private life as if it were a fragile parcel you must carry across a crowded street. That is why you are tired. My health, my supply, my future, my reputation. Each time you frame life as personal property, fear must come to police the borders. Search yourself. Are you living as a custodian of a small, threatened parcel? Are you bracing to defend what you call mine? That very stance is the confession of separation, and separation is the one lie behind every tremor. Hear the impersonal truth that frees. God is no respecter of persons. Where the sun shines, it shines. On saints and sinners, on friends and enemies, on the just and on the unjust. The law of God is not a private pipeline that widens for your team and narrows for another. It is universal being, universal life, universal provision. The moment you withdraw the fence of me and mine, you do not shrink. You expand into what already is. One life being all. One law operating everywhere, without favoritism, without anxiety, without edges to defend. See how the possessive binds you. My health makes a private body to fear and monitor. My money makes a private source that can be drained. My future makes a private timeline that can be threatened by accident or other people's choices. My ministry, my work, my image. With each claim of ownership, you create a vault to guard and you hire fear as its watchman. Stop it. End the contract. Take no thought for your life. You are not an owner. You are an instrument. You are not a proprietor of breath. You are breath of God, breathed by God, living and moving and having your being in God. Take the replacement now, simply, without strain. Say within, I live, yet not I. Christ liveth in me. I live and move and have my being in God. Let the words loosen the grip of the small custodian self. Not my life, God's life as me. Not my supply, God's sufficiency appearing as what is needed, when it is needed, for all. Not my safety, God's law of harmony embracing the whole. Where the all-inclusive is realized, what is there to fear? There is no outside from which harm can come, and no inside to be stolen. All is within one. Bring it to the day. If a report challenges my job, correct it. Employment is not my private lifeline. Function is God expressing, and God does not lack avenue. If a bill stares at my account, correct it. Numbers are not source. God is source, and source is universal, impartial, ceaseless. If my body whispers threat, correct it. Life is not contained in flesh. Life is God, and the arm of flesh is not might. Refuse two powers, and refuse two lives, personal and divine. There is one. What then is the atmosphere of this identity? Peace. Not a medal for effort, but the natural climate of oneness. My peace give I unto you. Not as the world giveth, not as wages for strain, but as gift where resistance is gone. Feel the sign of it now. The shoulders drop. The breath finds itself. The room of your being grows spacious. Stop chasing God. Let God catch up to you. Relax. Relax. Put up thy sword. The end of I, me, mine is the beginning of lived oneness. And in lived oneness, the watchman called fear is dismissed, because there is nothing left to guard and no rival power left to dread. Be still and know that God is God. Be at peace. Now we must do the one thing that ends the treadmill. Pray. But not to move God, not to bargain, not to outline. Pray to surrender the last threads of two-power thinking and the last breath of personal will. This is the treatment that ends all treatments, because it does not aim to get, it yields to be. It does not recruit omnipotence. It steps aside, so that omnipotence may be felt as the only presence, the only power. Listen carefully now, and take these words as your own. Father, never more will I try to use thee. Never more will I bring thee my plans and ask thee to bless them. Never more will I outline forms, times, methods, and call it prayer. Never more will I bargain. If thou wilt, then I will. I release the trade. Never more will I plead against an appearance as if it possessed law. Never more will I call the arm of flesh might. Never more will I finitize thee into a tool for I, me, and mine. Never more will I measure my devotion by minutes or by outcomes. Never more will I enthrone fear and then hire thee as a guard. Never more. Father, reveal thyself. Live thy life as my life. Let thy will be done in me. Nevertheless, not my will, thy will be done. Be thou the light where I had made a battle. Be thou the law where I had imagined chance. Be thou the supply where I had numbered coins. Be thou the health where I had worshipped symptoms. I withdraw every crown I have placed upon appearances. I confess one power. God is power, nothing else is. Let my prayer be, use me. Use me as transparency, not proprietor. Use me as presence of peace in a world that shouts. Use me for friends, for enemies, for saints, for sinners, for all, without respect of persons. Use my hands, my voice, my silence, my steps, for thy purpose alone. If there be any corner of me clutching for private gain, reveal it and end it. The moment I feel myself tightening to get, stop me and return me to give. Father, reveal thyself. Live thy life as my life. Thy will be done in me. Now no more words. Put up thy sword. Be still and know. Let the shoulders drop. Let the breath find itself. Feel how the atmosphere loosens when you cease outlining. Feel how the body softens when you cease pushing. My peace give I unto you, not as the world giveth. Receive, do not seize. Notice the difference between effort and presence. Effort is narrow and hot. Presence is wide and quiet. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. If a thought rises to start again, stop. Relax. Return to the one recognition. There are not two powers. Rest there until peace stands as witness. This is the treatment that ends all treatments. Surrender to one power, yielding so completely that you cease asking God to serve you and begin to feel God as your very being. Be still. Be at peace. And now the day after the talk will dawn, and with it the screen of sense will begin its parade. Headlines, messages, numbers, symptoms, memories. Do not be startled. Do not interpret the return of pictures as spiritual failure. The world will present pictures. That is its function. Your function is not to wrestle with them, not to hire God as a guard, but to refuse two powers and to rest in one. The arm of flesh is not might. Appearances shout, they are not law. They clamor, they are not cause. God is power, nothing else is. So here is your way. The very first sign is not outside you, it is in your body. The moment you feel yourself tightening, brow hardening, breath rising, stomach bracing, stop. Put up thy sword. Do not add a sentence. Do not draft a plan. Stop. Let the shoulders drop. Let the hands open. Let the breath find itself. Then, quietly, without push, return to the pivot. There are not two powers. God is. God is power. Nothing else is. Say it as recognition, not as combat, and be still. Wait without measuring. My peace give I unto you. Let peace come of its own accord. When peace registers, even as a soft widening in the chest, a clear space behind the eyes, that is your sign. That is alignment. Train yourself now in discernment. Do not look first to the scene to judge your progress. If you insist on a changed picture before you will rest, you are still bargaining with shadows. Measure by one thing, the ebbing of fear and the increase of inner freedom. If fear diminishes, if the watchman of I, me, mine is dismissed from his post, you are moving in God. The outer will yield in season, not by might nor by power, but by spirit. Take no thought for your life. Leave timing to the law. Your work is recognition and rest. And this applies everywhere, because it is not about objects. It is about a single premise. Body, the same way. Refuse two powers. The arm of flesh is not might. God is life. Supply, the same way. Numbers are not source. God is source. Relax into one presence. Relationships, the same way. No person's mood or memory is power over you. God alone governs. Vocation, the same way. No gatekeeper stands between you and function. God expresses as right activity. Do not multiply methods for categories. Keep to one. If the picture shouts louder tomorrow, remember your bell. Tightening is the bell. Stop. Refuse two powers. Return to the pivot. Rest until peace answers. If peace delays, check the secret places. Are you judging? Resenting? Withholding? Correct it gently and return. Bless the one you feared. Forgive the debt. Release the ledger. Then be quiet again. Never more will you finitize God into techniques and timers. Relax. Relax. Walk softly now. God's presence is not coming. It is here. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Lo, I am with you alway. Be still and know. Let peace be the sign that you are aligned, and let today and tomorrow be nothing but this simple obedience repeated. Whenever you meet a claim, refuse two powers, relax into one presence, and rest until peace stands as witness. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Be at peace.